Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video we're going to be potting up some aloe vera plants. I have a couple of plants here sitting in front of me. One of them needs to be repotted into a bigger pot and the other one has started to sprout a baby. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be separating the baby plant from the main plant and repotting the main plant. And then we are also going to be repotting this big guy. So this plant has not been doing so well. His leaves are starting to yellow on the ends and they're starting to kind of pucker up, which is usually a sign that it's not getting enough water. But I've been watering this guy and I've just been kind of keeping my eye on him, and I think he just needs repotted. I think this pot has gotten too small for him and I think it's time to bump him up a little bit. So that's what we're going to do today, and hopefully he'll be a lot happier and pull through. So let's go ahead and take care of the big one first. So whenever you are potting up succulents, and aloe vera is a succulent, you want to use a good succulent potting soil. So this is from Miracle-Gro, not a sponsor. Cactus, palm, and citrus potting mix. Okay, so you can use that for all of those different kinds of plants. And really all the differences between a potting soil like this and a regular potting soil is it's much lighter. It has some sand in it and things like that to make the soil dry and drain a lot easier, because things like citrus and succulents do not like their roots sitting in water. So you need a nice, light, fluffy potting soil that will allow the water to drain out of it really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to get that in there, and I'm going to actually pat mine down a little bit. I like to kind of pat the soil down because I know as I water this, the soil level will drop. So if you pat it down a little bit as you're getting ready to plant your whatever you're planting, it won't drop as far for you, and then you won't have that loss of soil in your container. Okay, and I'm going to leave about an inch gap inside the rim of this bowl so that whenever I water it and things like that, the water doesn't spill over the container. Okay, now very important also, this container does have a drainage hole in it so that the excess moisture can drain away from the roots quickly, and I know that this aloe vera plant won't be sitting in water. That's very important. Okay, so now in the middle of this container, I'm just going to make a little well. And I'm going to put this down a minute. I think it's a good idea to repot your house plants and things like that every year, every 2-3 years even maybe. These have been in here a little over a year. I'm actually just going to take any excess soil off of this because I want this to start out with new nutrients. So I'm not going to really disturb the roots. I don't want to mess it up, but I do want to give it a good chance to start with some fresh new soil. Okay, so this aloe vera plant kind of grew a little wonky, a little sideways in the container. So I'm just going to kind of position him as best I can in the middle of this container. And he wants to flop over, which is okay. He can do that if he wants. We're just going to press him in as good as we can. Taking off, if any of your aloe vera plants have some dead leaves in them, go ahead and trim those off. You don't want to perpetuate that problem. It's a good place for pests and things like that, or excess moisture to stay on your plant, and you don't want something like that around the bottom of your plant. So there we go. He's not standing up nice and pretty yet. We'll have to see how he does. I'll put him in a place where he can get some good light and water him in a little bit, and he should perk up okay. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, so here we have our container ready. And I'm going to put more of the cactus and succulent mix in here. Now for aloe vera and most succulents, actually, I find that they like indirect light. So they like a place where it's nice and bright, but they do not want the sun on their leaves. There's some that are a bit of an exception to that. I find that my agave does pretty good with direct sun on it, but my aloe vera and things like that, they do not like direct sun on their leaves. Their leaves tend to burn and turn yellow, and it'll just dry up. Like the leaves will just turn yellow and start to just burn and dry up on me. So that's a tip. If you're having trouble with your aloe vera, try to find a spot for it where it's nice and bright, like there's a lot of light, but there's no actual sun hitting the plant. So what we want to do now is I'm just going to dump this out on my table. Let me move this guy so you guys can see a little better here. Get him out of the way. I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and just dump this out, because what we want to do is we want to get down to the part where the mother plant and the baby plant are connected, and we need to be able to see that. And I'm not going to keep any of this soil. Like I said, I like to repot my plants and kind of give them some new soil with new nutrients and things like that in it. Every couple years or so, maybe once a year, if I see that the plant's kind of struggling. I'm just gonna dump that behind me. Okay, so now we can see here where the mama and the baby are attached, and I am just going to gently pluck him off of there. So you want to take some of the roots from the mama plant. They're going to be connected to the baby plant. You want to take some of those roots with it. Okay, you don't want to cut it off here at the base where there's no roots. You want to make sure that this has some roots on it. And then, of course, the mom plant still has lots of good roots on it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and fill this orange container back up with some soil. And get these potted back up. I think I'm going to put the little one back in this orange one. Nope, I changed my mind. I think I'm going to put this big one back in the orange one. Also, I was talking about some dead leaves. You don't want to leave those on here. Can you all see that one dead leaf sticking out there? We're going to take him off. This guy's not looking so good either. I'm just going to take him off now. I have no problem ripping a few leaves off my plants if they're not looking so good. You just have to think about it kind of like that plant is going to have to put in a good bit of energy to save that leaf and to make that leaf happy again. And so sometimes it's better for the overall health of the plant to just lose a leaf here and there. So if I see one that's not looking so healthy, I'll just pop it off. And I don't want my plant putting energy into that leaf. Now you don't want to take a whole bunch of leaves off your plants, obviously. That would be not so great for them. So just if there's a couple, one or two, you know, or even three, whatever, looking really bad, go ahead and pop them off. Okay, so there's this one. He's acting all wonky too. But there we go. There's another one. Now, one good tip for your aloe vera as well. I know they're kind of crazy. They kind of go all over the place, as mine are here. You can see that. One tip that I can give you for that is you can top dress the soil with rocks, and that will help a lot. You can put some bigger pebbles on there. You could even get like the pebbles that you buy for your fish aquarium or something like that, the little ones. You can put those on top. It helps keep insects and things like that out of your plant, and it'll also help weigh down the top of your soil so that your plant stays more upright. Okay, so let's put him off to the side, and let's get this little baby potted up. I was so excited whenever I saw this little baby growing off the one that I had. It's so fun when your plants have little babies. Okay, so we're just going to make a real tiny little well here in the center of our pot, and we're just going to pack the soil in around that. You know what? I think I'm going to add a little more dirt. It seems kind of far down inside the pot to me. And I want him to have a good bit of this pot to anchor down into. So I want him to be up top. Okay. One of his little roots is sticking out. That's not good. Let's get that down in there. He doesn't have very many, so we want all of them. Want to keep all of them. Okay, there we go. They're all repotted. I'm going to give these guys a little bit of a drink today because they haven't been watered for a couple of weeks. And that's the last tip that I have for you guys today for your aloe vera plants. They are succulent. They do not like to be watered all the time. So I would say for me, I probably water my aloe vera plants maybe every 3 weeks, maybe. And that really just depends on the time of year that it is as well. In the winter time, we heat our house with wood, with a wood furnace, and so our house gets pretty dry. And so I will water them a little more often in the winter than I do in the summer. But still, I do not water them that much, maybe once every 2 weeks or so. They don't need a lot of attention. I fertilize them maybe once a year, maybe. Like I said, I kind of like to repot mine every couple years to once a year, depending. I kind of like to change things up though, and change the pots that they're in, give them some new soil to draw nutrients from, make sure there's no bug problems or anything like that in there, you know, just general maintenance of them. And then I don't really feel the need to fertilize because this is fresh soil. So that's kind of personal preference. I don't usually fertilize any of my succulents, and they do fairly well. So that was my last tip. Just do not overwater these. They do not need a lot of water. They do not need a lot of care. Put them in a place where they're going to be in a really bright area, but no sun touches their leaves. And then also do not overwater them. Well, those are my tips for aloe plants. I hope they were helpful, and I hope you guys have success with your aloe. We'll see you in the next video, guys.